The first thing Erica removed from the Christmas tree was the red wooden cardinal. She did it carefully, almost politely, while I was still holding the box of ornaments in my lap. The tree stood in the front room with half its lights working. Outside, November rain pressed against the windows. My granddaughter Lily had been waiting all week to decorate it with me. Erica looked at the little bird, then at the silver and white ornaments she had arranged across the rug. "This doesn't match," she said. "That one always goes near the top," I told her. "Helen painted it the year Daniel turned 10. "I know." She placed it on the coffee table instead of handing it back to me. "But we're changing a few traditions." My son Daniel was standing on a chair, winding white ribbon around the tree. He kept his eyes on the branches. I waited for him to say something. He did not. Erica folded her arms. "Actually, Thomas, that is what we need to talk about." She had never called me Thomas inside that house, not once in 4 years. Lily was upstairs looking for the star. I could hear drawers opening above us and her feet crossing the hallway. Erica lowered her voice. "My mother is going to stay with us after Thanksgiving. She'll be helping with Lily and the baby when he comes. We need the downstairs suite. Before I tell you what they had already arranged for me, tell me where you're listening from tonight." I used to think family trouble was something people hid behind closed doors. I have learned that the same words are spoken in kitchens everywhere. The downstairs suite was my bedroom, my small sitting room, and the bathroom I had paid to renovate after my wife died. It was also the only part of the house where Helen's photographs had not slowly disappeared into drawers. "For how long?" I asked. Erica glanced at Daniel. Daniel climbed down from the chair. "Dad, we found you a place." He reached behind the sofa and lifted a glossy brochure. On the cover, a gray-haired couple held tennis rackets beside a fountain. I did not take it. "Found me a place," I repeated. "It's not a nursing home," he said quickly. "It's independent living. They have meals, transportation, activities. You'd probably meet people." "I already know people." Erica exhaled through her nose. "This is exactly why we waited to tell you. You make every practical decision sound cruel." I looked at my son. "When do you want me gone?" He stared at the floor. Erica answered for him. "We need you to get out of our house by December 1st, before the holidays get busy." I ran my thumb over a paint mark on the cardinal's wing. Helen had painted that mark by accident. She had tried to cover it, then decided the bird looked more real with one imperfect feather. "December 1st, I said. Erica nodded. Her shoulders loosened, as if my agreement had been the final item on a list. Then she added, "And please don't make this into a question of ownership. We have lived here 4 years. This is our house now, even if the paperwork never caught up." That was the moment Daniel finally looked at me, not when she removed his mother's ornament, not when she showed me the brochure, not when she gave me 12 days to pack. He looked at me when she said the paperwork had not caught up, because he knew exactly what the paperwork said. The deed was in my name. The property taxes came from my account. The insurance policy named me as the owner. And the occupancy agreement Daniel had signed 4 years earlier said their right to live there could be ended with 30 days written notice. My lawyer had insisted on that agreement. I had nearly refused because making my own son sign a paper had felt like an insult. Now I understood the paper had not insulted him. It preserved what I had tried not to think about. I set the ornament box on the floor and stood. "All right," I said. Daniel took one step toward me. "Dad, we're not throwing you into the street." "No," I said. "You found me a fountain." Erica's mouth tightened. I picked up the cardinal from the coffee table and slipped it into my shirt pocket. Then I went downstairs and closed the door to the suite they had already stopped calling mine. At 7 the next morning, I made coffee and sat at the small desk beside my bedroom window. The rain had stopped. Water clung to the bare maple branches, and the yard looked washed clean without being repaired. I opened the blue folder I kept in the bottom drawer. Inside were the deed, the insurance records, the occupancy agreement, and a yellow note in Helen's handwriting. The note was not sentimental. Helen rarely wrote sentimental things when practical ones would do. It said, "Keep copies somewhere Daniel cannot misplace them." She had written it 4 years earlier, the afternoon we signed the purchase papers. Daniel had been 38 then, married for 6 years, and carrying more debt than he admitted. His construction supply business had survived 2 bad seasons. It survived only because I paid off a line of credit he had guaranteed personally. Erica called it a temporary bridge. Daniel promised to repay me when business improved. He repaid $12,000 of the $46,000 I gave him. Then Lily needed braces. Then their rental building was sold. Then there was always another reason. Helen and I had been living in a 2-bedroom brick house across town. We planned to spend the next few years traveling in our old camper. She wanted the redwoods. I wanted Santa Fe, where we spent our 10th anniversary. One December when Daniel was 10, he climbed onto my shoulders to hang lights along that brick house. He was afraid of the height, but too proud to say so. I kept one hand around his ankle while he fastened every clip. Afterward, he told Helen he had done the dangerous part alone. Instead, we sold the camper first. Then we sold the brick house. We bought the larger place on Willow Bend because it had room for all of us and a downstairs suite with its own entrance. The money came from our house, our savings, and the sale of a small parcel of land my brother and I had inherited. Daniel and Erica paid the utilities. That was all. I told myself the arrangement gave them stability and gave us family nearby. Helen said I was trying to solve Daniel's fear with square footage. That was the warning I ignored. She did not oppose helping him. She opposed helping without an end point. People respect a bridge, she told me. They start claiming a road. At 8:15, I called Nina Patel, the lawyer who had handled the purchase. She answered on the 4th ring. "Thomas, is everything all right? My son has asked me to leave the house." There was a pause, but not a surprised one. "Your house?" "It is." "When?" "By December 1st. "And what do you want to do?" I looked at the cardinal on the desk. "I want to stop pretending this arrangement can be repaired by one more sacrifice." Nina asked me to bring the folder to her office. By 10:30, I was sitting across from her while she read the occupancy agreement line by line. Daniel and Erica were month-to-month occupants. The agreement required 30 days written notice. Because I lived on the property and the arrangement was not a conventional rental, there were details she wanted to confirm under state law before we did anything. She did not promise me a dramatic result. Good lawyers rarely do. She told me what notice would be required, what access I had to show the property, what I could not remove, and how long a contested process might take if Daniel refused to leave. "You can sell," she said, "but a buyer may require vacant possession. You should be prepared for delay." "I can be prepared." "Are you sure you want to sell? You could serve notice and remain." I thought of Erica saying "our house." I thought of Daniel looking at me only when ownership was mentioned. "I am sure I cannot live there after hearing that," I said. Nina leaned back. "Then do this slowly. No threats, no arguments. Every notice in writing, every conversation documented." She said she would also pull the original closing file, including the emails Daniel had sent when the arrangement began. I barely remembered them. Nina kept everything. Before I left, she asked whether I had somewhere safe to stay if the atmosphere became difficult. I had a friend named Walter, who owned a small furnished apartment above his hardware store. It was empty until January. "I do," I said. At noon, I called Claire Monroe, a real estate agent Helen and I had known for 20 years. Claire did not ask for gossip. She asked for the address, the condition of the house, the ownership records, and my preferred timeline. "Before Christmas," I told her. "That is tight. I understand. A fast sale may mean accepting less." "I know that too." She rearranged her afternoon and came at 3. Daniel and Erica were out, and I walked her through every room, including the downstairs suite. She checked the roofline, the furnace, the windows, and the recent sales on Willow Bend. At the kitchen table, she recommended a price slightly below the neighborhood average. "A quick sale might cost me money," she warned, but the house had appreciated enough to leave me secure. I read the listing agreement one page at a time. I asked how showings would work, what happened if Daniel resisted access, and whether a buyer could close before Christmas. Claire answered each question without promising what she could not control. Then I signed. The house was not sold yet, but the decision was no longer only something I had said while hurt. At 4:12 that afternoon, less than 24 hours after they told me to leave, I authorized Claire to list my property for sale. After Claire left, I stayed at the kitchen table and thought about the years we had spent there. 6 months after we moved in, Helen was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. For 14 months, the downstairs suite became our whole world. Daniel drove her to 2 appointments. Erica made soup twice. Lily, who was 7 then, came downstairs every afternoon and drew birds at the foot of the bed. Those small things mattered. I will never say they did not. But after Helen died, the house changed by inches. Her blue chair went to the garage because Erica wanted a cleaner look. Her copper pans were boxed because they were too heavy for daily use. The framed photograph from our wedding moved from the hallway to my sitting room. Each change was explained gently. I allowed every one of them. That was my mistake. I had spent my whole life believing silence kept a family peaceful. Sometimes silence only makes disrespect easier to repeat. Then I did something that felt both smaller and harder than selling a house. I went upstairs and asked my son to sit with me at the kitchen table. Erica was out taking Lily to school. Daniel poured himself coffee and leaned against the counter instead of sitting. I placed the independent living brochure between us. "Was this your idea?" I asked. He rubbed the back of his neck. "It was both of ours." "That was not my question." He looked toward the hallway. Erica's mother's lease is ending. She can help when the baby comes. It makes sense. Did you agree to give her my rooms? He let out a long breath. Dad, you have to understand the pressure we're under. I am trying. The business is unstable again. Erica is pregnant. Lily needs more attention. Mom's place would take care of meals and transportation for you. Everyone gets what they need. What do I get? A community. People your age. I asked what I get from my family. He looked down at his coffee. I gave him the first chance to correct it. Tell me this was handled badly, I said. Tell me you do not believe I am a guest you can remove when another relative becomes useful. Daniel's face hardened in the way it had when he was a teenager and knew an apology would cost him something. We are not going to apologize for making an adult decision in our own home. I nodded once. Then I took the brochure and left him standing beside the coffee he had not touched. Claire arrived the next morning at 9. I had told Daniel and Erica she was coming to inspect the property. I did not say why. Claire walked through the kitchen, measured rooms, checked the windows, and took notes. Erica followed us for 10 minutes before asking who she was. A real estate agent, I said. Erica looked at Daniel. For what? For the house. Daniel laughed once, but there was no humor in it. Dad, stop. Claire closed her notebook. I can come back. No, I told her. Please finish. Erica stepped between us and the dining room. You cannot bring strangers through our home without discussing it with us. I notified you yesterday. You said an inspector was coming. I said someone was coming to inspect the property. Daniel moved closer. You're not selling. I looked at him. You told me to leave. We told you to move somewhere better suited to you. And I decided the house should move on too. Erica's eyes narrowed. This is punishment. No, punishment would be trying to hurt you. I am ending an arrangement you already ended. Daniel shook his head. You promised this house would be ours. I said it could be yours someday if this became a stable family home. It is a stable family home for everyone except the man who owns it. Claire stared at the floor, giving us the privacy a stranger can offer without leaving. Erica pointed toward the front door. Get her out. I turned to Claire. Let's see the upstairs. That afternoon, Nina's office delivered the written 30-day notice by certified mail and personal service. The deadline was December 20th. The notice did not insult anyone. It did not mention the brochure, the cardinal, or the 4 years of free housing. It simply stated that the occupancy would end and the property needed to be returned in clean condition. Daniel called me from the next room when he received it. I watched his name appear on my phone while I was sitting 12 feet away. I did not answer. He came downstairs instead. You had me served in my own house. I had notice delivered to my property. Do you hear yourself? I hear both of us more clearly than I used to. He held the paper out like it was something dirty. What about Lily? What about her? You are taking her home away before Christmas. You gave away my room before Thanksgiving. That is not the same. No, I said, it is not. He waited for me to explain the difference. I did not. The next 3 days were quiet, in the way houses become quiet when everyone is listening for a door. I packed my clothes, Helen's photographs, the blue folder, and 2 boxes of books. I left the furniture. I left the television. I left the tools in the garage that Daniel had borrowed so often he thought of them as his. On Saturday morning, Lily came downstairs holding a strand of paper snowflakes. "Dad says you're moving," she said. "I am." "Because you don't like it here?" I stopped folding a sweater. "Who told you that?" She looked toward the stairs. "Mom said you want your own life now. There are lies people tell to avoid blame, and there are lies that rewrite your place in someone else's heart." That one did both. I sat on the edge of the bed so my face was level with hers. "I love being near you," I said. "The grown-ups made a decision badly. None of it is because of you. Will you still come Christmas morning?" "I don't know what Christmas morning will look like yet." She twisted the paper snowflakes around her fingers. "Grandma's bird is gone. It's safe. Mom said old things make people sad. Sometimes they help us remember what was good." Lily nodded, as if she needed to store that answer somewhere. Then she handed me the snowflakes. "For your new place," she said. After she left, I sat there longer than I meant to. I had thought the deepest wound was being told to leave. It was not. The deepest wound was learning that my granddaughter had been given a cleaner story in which I had chosen to walk away. That evening, Daniel's sister, Rachel, called from Denver. "What are you doing?" she asked before saying hello. "Packing. Daniel says you are selling the house because Erica's mother needs a room. That is part of it. He says you have been forgetful lately." I put down the roll of tape. "Did he give you an example?" "He said you missed an insurance payment. I changed companies. The old policy was canceled after the new one began. He said you got confused about the deed." "The deed is in the blue folder beside me." Rachel was quiet. Then she said, "Dad, are you okay?" That question should have comforted me. Instead, it showed how quickly Daniel's version had begun to work. "I am hurt," I said. "I am not confused." She asked me to wait until she could fly in after Thanksgiving. I told her I would talk to her, but I would not pause the legal process. By the following Monday, Claire had arranged quiet pre-market showings for 2 families and a retired couple. Daniel refused to leave for the first appointment. Nina reminded him in writing that reasonable access had been part of the occupancy agreement he signed. He left, but he parked across the street and watched. Erica posted a message in the family group chat that evening. "Thomas is forcing a pregnant woman and a child out of their home during Christmas. We are asking everyone to encourage him to delay this until he is thinking clearly." My nieces replied with heart emojis. A cousin asked whether I needed a medical evaluation. Rachel did not reply at all. I read the message twice. The kettle clicked off behind me, but I left it untouched. Then I photographed the message and saved it in the blue folder. It would not decide a court case. I kept it because I no longer trusted the family version of events to remain honest. On Thanksgiving morning, I moved into Walter's apartment above the hardware store. Walter helped carry my boxes up the narrow stairs. He was 71, broad-shouldered, and missing the tip of his left index finger from a table saw accident in 1989. He had never married, but he understood family disappointment better than most married men I knew. He set the ornament box on the kitchen counter. "This all of it?" he asked. All I need for now. That's not what I asked. I looked around the apartment. One bedroom, brown carpet, a refrigerator that hummed like an old truck. No, I said, it is not all of it. Walter nodded. Good. Means you know something is missing. Thanksgiving dinner at the house was held without me. Daniel sent a message at 2:17. Lily wants you here. We can put this aside for one day. I almost went. Then Rachel forwarded me a message Daniel had sent her that morning. Please come, if you can. Dad listens to you. We need him to cancel the listing before buyers get serious. The invitation had not been for dinner. It had been for leverage. I heated soup in Walter's kitchen and ate beside the window while holiday traffic moved below. At 4, Lily called from Daniel's phone. Grandpa, we saved you pie. Thank you, sweetheart. Are you mad at me? Never. Mom is mad at you. I can tell. Dad keeps going outside. I could picture him standing in the driveway, calling relatives, trying to turn pressure into authority. Tell your father I hope dinner is warm, I said. After the call, I opened the ornament box. The red cardinal was wrapped in one of Helen's old dish towels. Under it were the paper snowflakes Lily had made. I placed both on the small table. For the first time in years, there was no large family meal to clean up, no argument to avoid, and no one waiting for me to fix something. The quiet did not feel peaceful. It felt honest. 2 days later, Claire called with an offer. The buyers were a nurse named Marisol and her husband Ben, a high school music teacher. They had 2 sons and an elderly aunt who would use the downstairs suite. They had already sold their condo and planned to use the proceeds for a large down payment. Their lender had completed underwriting subject to appraisal, title, and inspection. If those stayed clean and the property was vacant by the 20th, December 23rd was realistic, though not guaranteed. The offer was $22,000 below asking. Claire believed we could get more if we waited until spring. I asked whether the price was fair. She said it was. I asked whether the buyers understood the occupancy issue. She said they did. I asked whether they liked the house. Claire laughed softly. The aunt cried when she saw the downstairs window. She grows orchids. I looked at the narrow strip of sunlight on Walter's brown carpet. Accept it, I said. That afternoon, I signed the purchase contract. The closing date was 2 days before Christmas. I did not announce it in the family group chat. I did not send Daniel a photograph of my signature. Nina delivered the required notice of the pending sale and closing schedule. The contract gave the buyers inspection rights and made the sale contingent on vacant possession. Daniel came to Walter's apartment that night. He climbed the stairs so quickly he was breathing hard when I opened the door. You accepted an offer. I did, without talking to us. We talked at the kitchen table. You know what I mean? I do. That is why I answered the way I did. He walked past me into the apartment. He stared at the brown carpet, the second-hand sofa, and the paper snowflakes taped above the window. This is ridiculous, he said. You left a 4-bedroom house to prove a point. I left because your wife told me to. She was upset. She was organized. There was a brochure. Daniel pressed both hands against his face. Cancel the contract. I won't. We can pay rent. With what? The business is improving. You told me it was unstable when you wanted my room. He dropped his hands. Fine. I said whatever I had to say because Erica is terrified about the baby and her mother has nowhere to go. And I did? You had options. So do you. He stared at me for a long moment. Then his voice changed. Lily is going to remember that you did this. I felt that sentence where he intended me to feel it, but I had already heard Lily ask whether I was mad at her. He knew mentioning Lily might make me retreat. It nearly worked. Then tell her the truth, I said. Daniel looked away. He left without saying goodbye. The inspection happened on December 3rd. Erica refused access to the downstairs suite until Nina reminded her that interfering with the sale could create a claim for damages. She opened the door, but followed the inspector through every room. The report found a roof leak above the garage and an aging furnace. I agreed to a credit. The buyers stayed committed. That should have made the rest simple. 2 nights later, Daniel called and asked me to come to dinner. I handled this badly, he said. Erica did too. We want to talk without lawyers. It was the first time he had admitted even part of it. I asked whether the sale was the only reason he wanted me there. No, he said. Lily misses you. I miss you. I went. The table was set with Helen's old white dishes. Lily had placed a folded paper snowflake beside my plate. Erica apologized for the deadline and said she had panicked about the baby, her mother, and the lack of space. She admitted she had been waking at 3 every morning, worried about Daniel's business and how she would manage 2 children. I made a list of what everyone could do for us, she said. I did not stop to ask what we were doing to you. She did not apologize for calling it their house, but her voice was softer. Daniel asked about Walter's apartment. Lily told me about a science project. For 20 minutes, no one mentioned deeds, notices, or closing dates. I let myself imagine that the sale could end the financial arrangement without ending the family. After dessert, Daniel said, "Would you give us 1 week before you do anything else? The contract is already signed." I know, but there may be a way to keep everyone protected. We can meet with someone neutral. I told him I would consider mediation. I did not promise to cancel the sale. When I left, Lily hugged me in the driveway and asked whether I would come back for Christmas. "For dinner," I said, "if the grown-ups can remember what dinner is for." Driving back to Walter's apartment, I felt lighter than I had since the tree came down. I wanted the apology to be imperfect but real. I wanted my son to have finally chosen the relationship over the house. The next morning, Nina called. Daniel had already hired a lawyer. The letter had been drafted before the dinner invitation. It claimed I had made an enforceable oral promise to transfer the house to Daniel, and that my sudden decision raised concerns about undue influence and capacity. Undue influence from whom? The letter did not say. Capacity meant they were no longer only arguing that the house was theirs. They were arguing that I was not fully capable of deciding it was mine. Nina called me into her office. "This may be a pressure tactic," she said. "But we respond carefully." She asked whether I had recently changed medications, been hospitalized, or been diagnosed with any cognitive condition. I had not. She asked whether I was willing to meet with my doctor and obtain a routine capacity letter. I was. She asked whether anyone had pressured me to sell. No one had. Then she placed Daniel's lawyer's letter on the desk. "Do you still want to proceed?" I looked at my son's name beneath the attorney's heading. "I do." This was the deeper betrayal I had not expected. Being asked to leave hurt. Being called confused to the family angered me. But paying a lawyer to suggest I was too diminished to control my own home was different. Daniel was not merely defending his wife's demand anymore. He was building a version of me that could be managed. My doctor examined me the next morning. He asked ordinary questions, reviewed my records, and documented that I understood the property, the proposed sale, the financial consequences, and the available alternatives. There was no dramatic declaration, just a careful letter on clinic stationery. Nina sent it with the deed, purchase records, tax statements, and the occupancy agreement Daniel had signed. She also sent an email Daniel had written 4 years earlier after the purchase. "Thanks for keeping the house in your name until we are stable. We understand this is your investment and that we are guests until we can carry our share." I had forgotten the email existed. Nina had not. It had been sitting in the original closing file since the day Daniel sent it. Daniel's lawyer stopped threatening an immediate court action. He requested mediation instead. I agreed. That was his second chance. The mediation took place on December 8th in a conference room no larger than Walter's kitchen. Daniel and Erica sat on one side of the table with their lawyer. Nina and I sat on the other. A retired judge named Mr. Cole sat at the end with a legal pad. Erica spoke first. She said she had acted out of stress and pregnancy. She said her mother's housing problem had created panic. She said I had always described the home as a family home, and that selling it weeks before Christmas was disproportionate. Daniel said very little. Mr. Cole asked what outcome they wanted. Their lawyer slid a proposal across the table. They wanted me to cancel the sale, transfer the property into a family trust, and give Daniel authority to manage maintenance and refinancing. In exchange, they would allow me to remain in the downstairs suite for life and begin paying $1,200 a month after the baby was born. Allow me, in my own room, in my own house. I read the proposal twice. Then I looked at Daniel. "Did you approve this?" He rubbed his thumb along the edge of the table. "It protects everyone. Who controls the trust?" The trustee would be me, with Rachel as backup. Who could borrow against the property? The trustee, if it benefited the family. "Your business needs money again." His eyes lifted to mine. Erica answered, "The business supports your granddaughter." There it was. The house was not only a home they believed they deserved. It was collateral. Daniel had not stayed silent in the living room because he was afraid of conflict. He had stayed silent because removing me made the next step easier. Mr. Cole asked whether I wanted time alone with Nina. "No," I said. I pushed the proposal back across the table. "I will not sign this." Daniel leaned forward. "Then what are we doing here?" "I came to see whether you understood what you had done." "We made a bad request," he said. "You are destroying the family over one bad request. You gave me 12 days to leave. We can change that. You told people I was confused. We were worried. You hired a lawyer to challenge my capacity. Because you would not listen, I let him finish. Then I asked the one question I still needed answered. When did you decide to use the house for the business? Daniel did not speak. Erica looked at him. That was answer enough, but Mr. Cole waited. Finally, Daniel said, in October, a month before the tree, a month before the brochure, a month before Erica's mother supposedly created an emergency. They had spoken to a lender. The lender wanted stronger collateral. Daniel believed the house would eventually belong to him, so he had begun planning as if the transfer were a formality. My presence was not the central problem. My ownership was. I felt something inside me become quiet, not cold, not triumphant, finished. Nina asked whether I wanted to make a counter-proposal. I did. They could move out by December 20th as required. I would pay the moving company directly and cover the security deposit on a reasonable rental, provided the lease was in their names and they signed a written release of any claim to the house. I would not cancel the sale. I would not transfer the property. I would not guarantee business debt. Erica whispered to Daniel. Their lawyer asked for a private caucus. 20 minutes later, they rejected the offer. Daniel said accepting moving money would make it look like they agreed I was right. Mr. Cole folded his hands. This is not a trial, he said. No one here will be declared morally right. Daniel looked at me. Then why are you doing this? I answered him as plainly as I could. I did not sell your home. I stopped buying my place in your family. No one wrote the sentence down. They did not need to. The mediation ended without agreement. That night, back in Walter's apartment, I made 2 cups of coffee. I did it from habit. 1 black for me, 1 with a little milk for Helen. I carried both cups to the table before I noticed. For a while, I stood there with 1 cup in each hand. Then I set hers beside the red cardinal. The apartment was so quiet, I could hear the refrigerator cycle off. I wanted to tell Helen I had finally done what she had asked me to do 4 years earlier. I wanted her to say I was not being cruel. I wanted one person who knew every version of me to tell me where firmness ended and pride began. Instead, I took the cardinal apart from its small metal hook and rubbed the rough edge where she had painted over a splinter. My eyes watered. I kept looking at the bird until the feeling passed enough for me to breathe normally. Then I poured her coffee into the sink, not because I was ready to stop missing her, because I was ready to stop asking the dead to approve decisions the living had forced me to make. The next week brought consequences in ordinary envelopes. Daniel's business lender declined the expansion application after the proposed collateral became unavailable. That did not destroy his company. It meant he had to close 1 warehouse and negotiate longer terms with suppliers. Erica's mother found a small apartment 20 minutes away. She was angry that she could not move into the downstairs suite, but she was not homeless. Daniel and Erica applied for rentals. Their credit was good enough, though the monthly payments were higher than the utilities they had paid at Willow Bend. The family group chat became less active after Rachel posted a copy of the email Daniel had written 4 years earlier, acknowledging that he was a guest. She did not defend everything I had done. She wrote 1 sentence. We should stop calling Dad confused because we dislike his decision. 2 cousins removed their earlier comments. No one apologized, but the group chat went quiet. That was enough. On December 17th, Daniel called and asked to meet at a diner near the highway. He looked older than he had a month earlier. There were gray shadows under his eyes. He had stopped shaving every day. We sat in a booth beneath a plastic wreath. He did not order food. "The rental wants first month, last month, and deposit," he said. "How much?" $8,400 total. I waited. "The business account is tight because of the warehouse closure." I waited again. He looked out the window. "Can you give us $25,000 from the sale? It would cover the move and give us breathing room." The sale had not closed yet. He was already dividing the money. "What happened to the deposit I offered at mediation?" "That was different." "How?" "It came with a release." "Correct. You wanted us to admit we had no claim." "You have no claim." He pressed his lips together. "Dad, I am trying to keep my family together." "So am I. You are not the one with a pregnant wife and a child." "No, I am the one you tried to remove, discredit, and borrow against." He looked at me then. The anger was gone. What remained was exhaustion. "I made a mistake." "You made several decisions." "Fine. Decisions. Bad ones." It was the closest thing to a full admission he had offered. I told him the original moving offer still stood for 48 hours. I would pay the rental company directly for the security deposit and the moving company directly for the move. No cash, no business money, no new loan. The release remained required. He shook his head slowly. "You do not trust me at all. Not with money or property. What about as your son? That is a different question." He looked down at his hands. "I wanted to rescue him. The refusal did not make me feel strong. I still wanted to rescue him, but giving him cash would have put us back in the same arrangement." Daniel signed the release the next day. I paid the deposit and the movers directly. He and Erica moved into a 3-bedroom rental on December 20th. It was smaller than Willow Bend, farther from Lily's school, and completely theirs in the one way my house had never been. They were responsible for it. When the movers carried the last box out, I walked through Willow Bend alone. The walls showed pale rectangles where photographs had hung. A strand of white ribbon remained caught behind the Christmas tree stand, though the tree itself was gone. In the downstairs suite, sunlight fell across the empty floor. I remembered Helen lying beside the window while Lily drew birds at her feet. For a long time, I believed fatherhood meant never letting go. I know better now. Sometimes holding on is what keeps a grown child from learning the weight of his own life. I locked the front door and gave the keys to Claire. The sale closed on December 23rd. No one applauded. No one begged. The buyers signed papers. I signed papers. A wire transfer arrived after the recording office confirmed the deed. Marisol and Ben received the keys that afternoon. They planned to repaint the downstairs suite a soft green for Ben's aunt and build shelves for her orchids. I bought a small 2-bedroom cottage 12 minutes from Walter's store. It had a narrow porch, a stubborn furnace, and enough yard for tomatoes. I paid cash and kept the rest of the proceeds in accounts Daniel could not reach. On Christmas Eve, Rachel flew in from Denver and brought Lily to see me. Daniel stayed in the car. Erica was resting at home. Lily carried a paper bag with both hands. Inside was the red wooden cardinal. I stared at it. "I thought you said it was safe," she said. "It was. Dad found it in one of your boxes. He said it should be here." That was the first thing Daniel returned without being asked. Lily walked to the small tree I had placed beside the window. It was only 4 feet tall, decorated with her paper snowflakes and a string of plain lights. "Where does it go?" she asked. "Near the top." She reached, but she was still too short. I lifted her the way I had lifted her father decades earlier. She hooked the cardinal onto a branch just below the star. When I set her down, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a grocery store gift card and a note from Daniel. It said, "No request, just dinner when you are ready." I read it twice. I did not call him that night. Trust does not return because someone finally writes the right sentence. But I placed the note in the blue folder instead of throwing it away. On Christmas morning, Daniel came alone. He carried a bag of groceries and a small toolbox I had left in the garage. "I thought these were mine," he said, setting the tools on the porch. "They are not." I looked at him for a moment. Then I opened the door wider. We cooked eggs. We did not discuss the sale. We did not discuss the trust proposal or the capacity letter. We talked about Lily's school project and the warehouse he was closing. Before he left, he stood beside the tree and touched the cardinal with one finger. "Mom made that," he said. "She did. I should not have let Erica take it down. I wish you had stopped her." He nodded. It was not an apology for everything. It was one true sentence. For that day, it was enough. I still loved my son. I did not restore his access to my money, my property, or my decisions. I could forgive him without putting those things back in his hands. But there is a difference between locking someone out and refusing to live in a house where your place depends on what you provide. The cardinal hangs in my cottage now. The paint is chipped. One wing is darker than the other. It is not part of a perfect decorating theme. Neither is my family. Maybe healing begins when help is given freely and no one has to pay for a place in the family. So tell me this. Would you have sold the house after being told to leave, or would you have given your son one more chance to make it right?